folks, it's me. I'm back. I'm ready. I'm better than ever. And what am I back to do? Make shitty movie reviews for a lot of people that don't watch. So it's been a while since I made a video on a movie, and I do want to keep doing this, and obviously the only reason why I didn't is because life kind of moves at you pretty quick. They throw a lot of things at you, and a lot of shit needs to get done. So personally, some stuff happened. I got caught up with some school stuff. Life just kind of got in the way with some work and stuff. I fell ill for a little bit. Generally, just didn't have time to do this sort of stuff, but I did have time to watch some movies and some TV shows, so those will come out very soon. But today we're going to talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So when this movie came out, it was hyped beyond belief, and everyone had fan theories and everyone had expectations, and I thought personally I really enjoyed it. Now, that's pretty much borderline what I want to kind of talk about as far as non-spoilers go. This movie's been out for a little bit now, and most people have gotten their thoughts out on this, so if you want a better, more general review that is slightly in-depth but not spoilery, probably find something else. As of right now, I'm just going to stick with some spoilers in this video, so let's just jump in. So Benedict Cumberbatch reprises his role as Doctor Strange, and this is the story of him protecting a young girl by the name of Chavez, who is jumping between universes because she is being chased by demonic creatures that are trying to absorb her power. Now, that's pretty much the bare bones of everything, but if I would really go more in depth into the plot of this, which I do really praise Marvel in the sense for doing this, is that they really didn't give out who the villain was, or we had ideas, but we didn't know exactly who it was for the longest. It turns out that Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch turns out to be the main focus as the villain in this movie. She's the one sending out these creatures after taking the book that was at the end of WandaVision that we see, and she's trying to take her powers so that she could then use them to be in a universe where she has the kids that she had with Vision in that TV show. Now, I really did enjoy a lot of the things about this movie, specifically the direction of this movie. Marvel has a lot of bland movies out there as far as directorial style. There's not a lot to them at times. They're very basic, like Eternals, Black Widow, stuff like that. It's just very bare bones. They don't really do much with the camera. They don't do really much with a style of sorts. Captain Marvel as well is up there as one of those movies. And needless to say, the directorial choice as Sam Raimi taking this movie and then doing a horror movie to their standards, I thought was a great choice. This movie is up there with the Spider-Man movies, Thor Ragnarok, the new Thor that looks to be in that same vein of personality and using different techniques and just putting your name out there and stamping your style on a movie. As big as a corporation as Disney is with Marvel, I immensely commend Sam Raimi for doing what he did. And that's the biggest praise I can give for this guy. He does so much in with the camera, and he does so many things that you would see in like an Evil Dead movie, for example, that some people may not like, but I personally did enjoy because it's vastly different than what we've seen before. Now, the script has some issues as far as like its pacing at times is very quick, and there's not a lot to kind of grip your teeth into at times if you're not fully invested into the theory aspect of this movie, which I don't think it lives up to at times. I feel like fans got a little too excited about what the movie was gonna be, and they started spewing out a bunch of shit, and they were left probably a little more disappointed than they wanted to be, but I feel like that's on their fault. You see, because Marvel didn't promise us anything. They just kind of gave you the trailer. They told you who directed it. They told you it's a Doctor Strange movie and they're going to the multiverse. They didn't have to tell you that Tom Cruise was going to be in there as Iron Man. They didn't have to tell you that they were going to introduce all these other characters for different universes and put them in this one. This was just a story about Doctor Strange exploring the multiverse, which is fine, but it does suffer at times from this. Because also at times when Doctor Strange is protecting Chavez, there are some good moments with the two. I think the dynamic between them, I think the Chavez's power is pretty unique and it's pretty cool. And the presentation of the power is actually cool as well, where she like punches the air as I punch the mic like so. And she ends up like creating like this star, you know, that leads into the other universe. That's really cool to see, and it's a different kind of visual for the power. Outside of that, though, I think they just lose a little bit of their way at times, and Honestly, the MVP of this movie for sure is Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch. Benedict Cumberbatch does very well as Doctor Strange. We all know this. He's a great casting choice for that. As I said, America Chavez did a really good job with the role that she was given. Wong was pretty good in this movie too for the screen time that he had. But Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch is the MVP of this movie, hands down, without question. She has so much emotional turmoil from not just even like the show that she had in WandaVision, where they pull a lot of the material from, and the What If series. They're drawing on everything before leading up to that moment, and I think it plays out very well. She's presented as like an evil witch horror movie type character, and there's a great scene in the middle of the movie where she fights the Illuminati, and she tears up a bunch of like Ultron bots, and like the stuff that's like on her, like it looks like blood, but it's actually like the oil from the robots, so it's not technically blood, but the visual of it, you can kind of guess where they're going with it, and you can see what Sam Raimi was trying to do with it. And I honestly thought that that was some of the best stuff. Elizabeth Olsen for sure was just so great in this movie. I loved the look of the Scarlet Witch in this movie. For whatever reason, it's just she looked so different than usual, especially with the book that she uses. The book tends to, like, because it's dark magic, it like makes the tips of her fingers like all black, and that was a really cool aesthetic to see. Generally, she just steals the show. If I haven't mentioned already, also what they do with her and Doctor Strange and the visuals that they have in this movie between the two and just off screen alone doing their own things was really cool to see. And here's where we get to some of the fanboy stuff that happened in the movie that I think just didn't work at times or left me wanting a lot more. Now, it is unfortunate for me personally. I've stated this when we did the trailer reaction to Thor, and as of right now, I'm recording this after the second trailer, and I could tell you the second trailer was very good, and it is better than the first one. But also, I think the first one, as I stated in that, it would have been better fitted if they didn't tell you that Jane Foster was in it, right? And that's how I feel with, this movie. I wish they didn't show you a lot of the things that they did in the trailer. Because when they did the second, trailer, not only did they show Captain Marvel from a different multiverse in there, they also, now granted, he only spoke one line and people only got like basically from right here on the camera of the trailer, and they guessed it was Sir Patrick Stewart. But they still gave it to you. And then there was also like spots here and there from different like videos that you would see on the internet that spoiled things like Captain Carter in the movie from the What If series. And honestly, it's fine to have these characters. It was great to see these characters. But generally speaking, this was not something that I think you should have spoiled at all. You went as far as to not spoil any of the villain aspect of the movie, which I commend them greatly. But after they did the first trailer and then they did the second trailer, they really fell off on that aspect alone. Because, yes, everyone found out that Sir Patrick Stewart is coming back as Charles Xavier in this movie. They had Captain Carter in this movie that was played by the same actress who played Peggy Carter from Captain America. They had the girl, I'm blanking on her name a bit, but she was in the last 007 movie in No Time to Die. She played the female 007, and she is now in this movie as the Black Captain Marvel. And then they had Black Bolt, which I will commend that these last two characters they did not show in trailers, and that was pretty cool. They had Black Bolt in there, and he has a pretty unique power, and it was really cool to see what he can do because I'm not familiar with this character. And then they did something that I didn't think they were going to do because everyone's up in arms and they wanted this to happen, and I just figured they won't do it, or at least it may not happen. They got John Krasinski to play Reed Richards. That statement alone makes this movie so cool to me, and it was really popped me in the theater. I was very much like, holy shit, they got John Krasinski. They got him in a role that everyone wants to see. And once that happens, everything kind of falls apart a little bit. Because you see what happens is when the moment happens where they have Elizabeth Olsen facing off against the Illuminati with the oil on her head, and she's transported her mind into that universe to go after America Chavez to take these powers. She stands in front of the Illuminati and they have a face-off. Now, the deaths in this scene were fantastic most of the time. Now, I thought that the idea of Reed Richards telling the Scarlet Witch, hey, watch yourself because Black Bolt with just a whisper can, fuck you up. And then it's the great TikTok meme that everyone likes to use with what mouth. And then, you know, he see that his mouth has disappeared and he's trying to like figure out what the hell's going on. When he says something, you see his power go off that was demonstrated scenes before when they killed that universe's Doctor Strange. You see it go off in his head, and it like takes the piece of his head and just caves it inside of itself. And that was an awesome visual. It was great stuff to see, and Sam Raimi did an awesome job visualizing that. The next thing that happens is you see Reed Richards turn into spaghetti and then his head blow off. And I thought, oh shit, wow. Like, that was really cool, but also, like, what the fuck? And then you had a longer fight between the Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, and Captain Carter. And I will say that the one death in this that really kind of sucks, that I just didn't think looked great and kind of left me annoyed, was when they killed Captain Marvel by just having a statue fall on her. I understand that, you know, statues are heavy, obviously, like, but when you're talking about superheroes, like, I always feel like when their powers are very, like, you know, out there, they're very abstract, they're very like for example, Captain Marvel from this universe took a headbutt from Thanos and fucking ate that shit. She took down an entire one of those, you know, ships that they had by herself. Like, there are things that have happened in the Marvel universe that have showed that Captain Marvel is a strong individual. And I don't give a fuck if this is from a different universe. She has the same powers. She just has a different skin tone, really, to be honest with you. And just having her have a statue fall on her, kill her, is very anticlimactic. But I will say they remedied this slightly with the Captain Carter death. She ends up throwing the shield at the Scarlet Witch, and then she reverses it back to her, and you don't see it happen. It cuts right before it happens, because obviously it wouldn't make it through the PG-13 rating, but the shield goes right through her from the waist, and so then you see in the background she kind of like falls in two. Very Darth Maul-esque from the Phantom Menace. That was really great to see. As a great death, that's great things to happen. But again, the Illuminati are now all dead, except for Charles Xavier at this point. And then we get a great scene, not just with Sir Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier using his power, but also we get a little bit of a Wanda stuff here too, where we see Charles enter into her mind, and we see it's a very all-white backdrop, and then he goes over to some rubble where we see Wanda's conscious, the good side of her, buried underneath the rubble, very reminiscent of when her and her brother were buried underneath the rubble when the missile attacked her town. And then all we see is this red smoke start to surround Charles Xavier, and then we see the Scarlet Witch pop out quickly and snap his neck in the mind world, which then kills him in the real world. Again, fun stuff, great things in the sense of like a shock factor, right? And to really put over that the Scarlet Witch is someone not to fucking mess with. But also, like, I don't know, like the cameos just didn't really do it for me at that point, because it's like, it was cool to see, and I would really like John Krasinski to come back as Reed Richards, and I'm not going to fully, you know, think that they're going to bring Sir Patrick Stewart back as Charles Xavier, because he is old, and I think his, you know, sort of story ended perfectly along with Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine and Logan. So I don't really want those two to come back, as much as like my heart would be like, don't ever recast Wolverine ever with someone else, because Hugh Jackman did such a good job with it that I don't think anyone can replicate it. I know it's going to inevitably happen, but I mean, would I like to see Hugh Jackman in it? Sure. But also, like, I don't know if I really need to see it after seeing what just happened in this movie. In the middle of all this, Doctor Strange gets thrown into a different dimension with an evil version of him, with some really cool visuals with some buildings going sideways and kind of drifting off into like dust into the sky, which was really cool to see. America Chavez is now back into the original universe from where the original Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange are from. They're starting to take away her powers, so now Doctor Strange has to resort to using the evil book that was used from his universe to get back to his universe. And this is where we get the great evil Doctor Strange versus good Doctor Strange dynamic. It's just the room that they're in is very great to see, the different like looks of the two characters, the third eye thing that happens with the dark magic that he possesses. He's got the same dark fingernails on it. There's a really cool fight scene between the two where they have like music notes kind of flying at each other, which I thought to be a pretty unique fight, and I thought it was kind of cool for like the score to kind of adjust with it as well. So that was really fun to see. And then he eventually uses the same power to kind of put his mind from that universe into the universe that he's originally from, and he uses the dead version of Doctor Strange that we see at the beginning of the movie, creating the zombie Strange, used to kind of help defeat the Scarlet Witch. The visuals for that were fantastic, don't get me wrong, I really liked it. However, there were some campiness with that towards the end of the movie. Like, we see the zombie look at one character, and then because he's missing like half of his mouth, it looks like it's half open, and then he just winks at someone. And while that is funny, and I do like a lot of the campy stuff that was in this movie because Sam Raimi was really talented at doing that. I mean, God, look at me, I love the fucking Spider-Man movies that he did, so I have a soft spot for that. There might have been a little too much for me. I did really enjoy the Bruce Campbell scene, though, that they had with him. That was fun. But either way, the end of the movie kind of wraps up with the Scarlet Witch being thrown into the universe that she used the other Wanda in, and now the kids see her as the Scarlet Witch and they're afraid. So that was a really cool moment to see the two Wandas kind of look at each other, and then you see the Scarlet Witch being like, what have I done, sort of deal. So that was really cool to see. But then we also get the lame, she now sees what she's done, so now she has to destroy the temple, and she's not going to leave the temple and let all the rubble fall and land on her. Now, again, we now have two deaths in the same movie that deal with rubble falling on a character and having them just die. And I don't really enjoy that, and I really don't think that that's a satisfying end to Wanda's character. However, it's the movie universe, and it's the whole, if you don't see the body, then, they're not technically dead. You didn't see anything. But, I mean, to be honest, it feels a little cheap then to bring her back in a way, I feel like. But, I mean, there's also a part of me that's like, well, you kind of have to bring her back because she's very important. So they're running into a little bit of a brick wall here, I'm not going to lie, and they got to take themselves out of the corner that they put themselves in, but we'll see where they go from there. Then the end of the movie happens. Doctor Strange then opens up a third eye like the evil one, because the evil one says that the book, if you use it, it gives you something in return, like a curse of sorts. So the end of the movie is just Benedict Cumberbatch screaming into the sky with a third eye opening up. And then you get the post-credit scene where it's a character that I am very unfamiliar with. I don't know if anyone else is really familiar with. Comes out of nowhere, tells Strange that they need help. She cuts a hole into the sky or the street, and then it opens up a portal that looks very reminiscent of the first Doctor Strange movie, where he fights Dormammu, and then he puts on his cape, opens up his third eye, and he says he's not afraid to fight this thing. They jump in, and then that's the end of the movie. And then they have a nice Bruce Campbell cameo that was just fantastic to see. All in all, I think the movie suffers slightly from its fan theories and hype, although I didn't buy into most of it, so I wasn't really as devastated by anything. I was really impressed with the direction that they did. I really enjoyed what Sam Raimi did. I liked all the actors in the movie. I thought, once again, Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch was just amazing. I think she does some great stuff with the Marvel Universe. Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is always good to see. I like that they're going to keep America Chavez in this universe, and not only is she going to learn the sorcery stuff, but she still has that multiverse power that she possesses. So she seems like a pretty cool addition. We'll see what happens with that, though, but then again, at times, I feel like that they just added the sorcerer element to her now, because she now doesn't feel as one-dimensional at this point. It's like, why would you put her into, the universe where she can do is just jump between universes? So I like that they're kind of branching her out a little bit and giving her another thing to do than just star. I'm going to give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness 3.5 stars. Thank you guys so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. I'll have a couple of reviews coming out for some of the movies that I saw prior to this one, and then I also have 2 shows that I did get to see that I really wanted to talk about as well. So those movies will be movie reviews coming out very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to y'all next time.